Good morning, Life Maximizer community. I hope you all are doing well. All things considered, it's it's a little crazy in the world today, but part of the intention of this is to find some things that are positive to talk about and find leaders both in business and within their communities who are doing some good work. So I feel very fortunate today to have one of my mentors and friends, Oge Okosieme. Did I say that correctly?
Well, you best be if I'm your mentor, Johnny. Yes, you did. Yes.
And we are looking forward to having some fun in this conversation because Oge is doing some incredible work with visionary leaders, or who she refers to as contemporary visionaries. So, Oge, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to this place of working with contemporary visionaries.
Have you got like 40 odd years? I think I've just given away something major there. But just a long story short, I started off as a business coach. And in the business coaching, as much as it was bringing in the cash, it wasn't bringing in the soul. That's what was happening. And so I went through a period of my life where I now call it was my dark time of the soul. Although, given what's happening now, that was an individual dark time. Now we're in the collective time of the soul, but that was an individual time. And I had this transition where one of the questions I asked myself, Don, is like, what do I really, 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 really want to do with my genius, my brilliance that I'm not doing now? And what I am doing now is what kept coming up for me. Really leading, mentoring, being a pathfinder, going into the darkness and coming out with more stuff for visionaries like me who have a mission, who have a message, a mission, an audacious dream that they want to birth in the world. But most times they're too damn scared to do it, because for me, the fear was, oh my God, if I start talking about like the shiz I really want to do, like people are going to laugh me back into the darkness. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So it was like, and that's what I wanted to do. And I've always had this interest in quantum physics, anything mystical, okay? I've always had an interest in it. So it was a place of combining things I'd learned in business, combining my skill for communication, and combining my passion for mysticism for people who don't want to live the paradigm anymore. It's like literally for people who don't want to live history, they want to create history. And that's how I came about doing what I do. I mean, I didn't wake up one day and I'm doing it, obviously. Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, for sure.
It's been a journey. But sometimes I'd like to wake up and I'm doing something.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I really enjoyed about working with you is because you didn't think about business or marketing or creation in a very traditional way. It allowed me to not only, I guess, tap into more of my creativity and intuition, but really to begin to trust it and follow it and know that that was a part of my success equation. And, you know, you go into traditional business programs or business schools, they don't talk about that, or most of them, I should say, don't talk about that. They might talk about creativity and innovation, but they don't talk about the mysticism and the more woo-woo side, and which is part of the reason why I wanted to create this series, is because I think it's really important to bring the practical business expertise, but then also like that magic and intuition, and you were the perfect person to have talk about this.
Thank you. It is, but that's what people don't want to see sometimes. It's actually the darkness that's holding the lightness. It's actually that mysticism that is the backbone of everything we're doing. It's the quantum, it's the physics, the quantum physics, it's the metaphysics, it's the light particles underneath, the particles underneath everything that is actually holding what we're doing. And I was joking with somebody yesterday. She posted something about light workers. And I said, a real light worker is actually a dark worker pretending to be a light worker, because people don't get the dark right now. And she said, yeah. And they're all, and one of the reasons everyone's running away from the dark is because they think Satan is there. And I said, yeah, everyone is doing the light and fluffy stuff because they're running away from Satan. But really, what we're doing is ignoring what actually holds us together, what actually holds it together, which is it's the dark. It is the dark, not the light. It's the dark that's creating the businesses. It's the dark that's creating the successes. It's that underbelly, if you like. Another way to talk about the dark is it's the feminine. The feminine is the dark side. Yeah, the masculine is the light side, the objectified side, the side that creates the tree, the business, but underneath it, something is holding it all together. And that's the mystic part. And that's where I live. I'm okay to say I live in the dark, people. Okay, I live in the darkness, not the dark. I do have a torchlight.
And you get to be a torchlight for so many people.
Yeah.
What does contemporary visionary mean for you, and how does someone know that they're a contemporary visionary?
That's a good question, because when I decided I was a contemporary visionary, I didn't know what I decided I was at the time. No, but again, that's a flippant answer on one hand, but this is how that intuition and connecting to the mystic and connecting to the darkness and trusting, this is how it's been working for me. So that's one answer to who's a contemporary visionary. The contemporary visionary is someone who's prepared to go to the edge. Yeah, they are prepared to play in the underbelly, in the master blueprint, so to say. Because when contemporary visionary came to me, I didn't know what it meant, but I do know when my information comes to me, that's how it comes to me. A lot of the times I don't know what it means until I begin to live it. Okay, so contemporary visionary is someone who's ready to go to the underbelly, to the dark side, to the blueprint, and create energetically from there. That's number one. So I like to say that the contemporary visionary is an intermediary between the gods and the people, because they can do both. They can do both. They understand the gods, and you guys can take gods in any way you like. So they understand the gods and they understand the people. And the contemporary visionary, someone who go to the gods and say, guys, you guys don't get it. You don't have to pay bills. So you know that shit about love and light, you can shut right up right now, because we got bills to pay. Then they go to the people and they're saying to the people, there is a blueprint to working this, you know. I know the gods are working hard, but I can show, I've been there. I promise you, there's a structure in the madness. So the contemporary visionary is an intermediary, and they're a visionary because they go where other people won't go. So they're bringing in energy and messages in a way that other people won't. It makes sense? And then the final part, which is the contemporary visionary, is really practical. Really, really practical. So there was a time in the past when visionaries were visionary, but a lot of the time their ideas were like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go back to eating my vegetables or whatever. I know that I can do da 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 and apples can fall in my hand, but I need to go to the market to get my apples or whatever. So the visionaries were quite far out and not connected with the people. Now, what is happening with a contemporary visionary is a contemporary visionary is someone who will drop in the water first and go, oh, holy cow, I can't swim. Yeah. And then they learn how to swim. They learn how to surf that particular body of water. And then they come back and teach other people. So the contemporary visionary is somebody who is teaching from a lived experience, even though they're teaching from the edge. They've lived it. Yeah. So they're bringing it back and they're sharing lived experiences. It's not in the head, they're actually living it.
That's such a great explanation, because when I think about my process of building my own business, several years ago, I was trying to think, okay, where do I want to go and what does my 5-year plan look like and how's my business going to be shaped and who am I going to be working with? And then it wasn't until I came to this iteration of my business and we started doing some work together where I realized, oh, I might know what's happening within the month. I'm getting an impulse to move in this direction. I don't know why, or I don't know what it's going to mean or what it's going to look like, but let me follow the impulse and see what happens. And then, just like you said, I jumped in the pool, realized, oh, I need some floaties or something to keep me keep me going. let me find some tools that I can use for myself. And then I would learn it. And then shortly after that, someone in that experience would come into my world and say, hey, can you help me with this? And I didn't have the skills and the tools to do that. And so I'm finding, even as I think about my own contemporary visionary journey, it's, in a lot of ways, it's a much more short-term approach because you're just going, having experiences, coming back, sharing it, deepening because of what you learned from the people that you worked with, and then you continue to go. So it's more of an evolutionary thing versus I'm going to see way out there.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes because of that very specific approach to leading and being a pathfinder, you can look like you're not doing much. You're going round and round and round and round in circles. And like, I've been here before. And then what tends to happen 9 times out of 10 is it feels like suddenly you're taking a quantum leap. Situations start to happen and then people are looking at you and like, oh yeah, okay, Donnie, you know that circular thing you were doing? We'd like to learn it now because we think we need to. Do you know what I mean? And then it looks like you've taken a quantum leap. But the reason it looks like that is because we want to experience. Experience is really important to the contemporary visionary. The actual experience of it. Yeah. So I say, and I said this to you, I won't teach anything I haven't experienced. I know that people that do it and they're okay and it's no judgment, but for me personally, if I haven't jumped in that water and looked for the floaties, like you said, I'm not teaching it. I'm not sharing, I'm not teaching it. Yeah.
Well, I think there's something about having the experience where it feels authentic. So you don't have to force trying to teach some structure or concept that is a theoretical one.
Yeah, that
Well,
you wish you had the handle of, but you know, it sounds good.
yeah.
Like some laws we won't mention.
Exactly. When one of the biggest ahas for me in our time together and in our work together is that you have this incredible ability to combine the creative and intuitive with structure and practicality. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I know many entrepreneurs um, and community leaders and and just visionaries have a difficult time doing anyway is structure, because there's some resistance to, oh, this is gonna send me off in a different direction, or I'm gonna feel too trapped. So how do you go about talking about structure, and what are some of the things you teach to help people shift their perspective around building structure for themselves?
You know, that's one of my favorite questions. Favorite question. The thing with structure, Danny, is that you have to redefine how you're looking at structure itself. That's the first place to go, is to begin to look at structure in a different way. So instead of looking at structure as something that's imposed on you, which many times it is imposed on you, but your whole goddamn life is a structure anyway, you know? Whether it's
Yeah.
a physical structure like I'm in the physical structure called a house, looking through a physical structure called a camera, do you know, like talking to you, through to energetic structures. The experiences we have are structures. Yeah, they are just energy structured in a certain way to create that experience. So the first thing I do when I start to introduce people to the whole idea that structure is there to serve you, not to tie you down, is that everything is a structure. Everything. So we connect to the energy. As creative beings, we connect to the source. We're connected to the source. We're connected to the darkness. That is the source. We're connected there. And then through that, we flow that energy. And as soon as we have an idea, it's structured. The minute you have an idea, like, I'd like to create a business, you've already structured that energy into the idea called a business, or into the idea called I'd like to create a business. Yeah. Even when you say I, you are structured, because source is one. So the minute you say I, you've begun to structure anyway. So structure is not something that's there to beat you down. It can do, but that's because people don't know how to use it. It's not there to beat you down. It's there as the foundation of creativity in this dimension. And I can talk about this dimension because this is the one I am conscious of right now. But in this dimension, we use structure to channel that source energy into events, things, people. So why would you see such a beautiful tool as something to fight against?
Yeah, I think, well, I'll speak for myself, and I think this is true for a lot of creatives. Because the creative process is so messy, in a lot of ways, it's very experiential.
Yeah.
And when I think about how I learn or how things come together for me, I think in puzzle pieces.
Yes.
And so that does have a structure, but often the pieces of the puzzle come, and it could be a corner, or it could be this middle piece, or it could be a different color. And I'm just flipping over all of the pieces, trying to figure out, what do I do with these, and where do they go, and how do I put them together? and I forget that, oh, this picture is contained within a structure. It's okay to have that for myself. And it was one of your recent classes that I went through where my whole relationship to structure just began to switch. It's like, oh, structure is beautiful.
Yes.
Not only do we need it as human beings, but we need it in order to have rigor and discipline and actually bring our vision through to this physical experience.
Yes.
What are 2 or 3 challenges that you see people coming up against as they reorient themselves to structure, as they're building their business and have to bring all the pieces together?
Life and their visions, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's a really good question. Well, the first one is the one we've just begun to tackle, which is the reorientation of what structure means to you. That is always where it starts, because once you can redefine what it means to you, then you can begin to actually see it in a different way. So like when I say to people, your experiences are structures, for example, or relationships are a structure. And then within the relationship of a structure, there's like marriage, there's like different kinds of relationship. There's a brother-sister relationship, even they have structures, yeah? Your behaviors are structures. Okay, your behavior. So when one of the things is people say, I don't do structure, I don't like structure, I'm so creative, and I hear you. What do you do when you wake up in the morning and they go, I go take a piss, and it's like, is that not structured? You know that water coming out is a structure. And anyway, you're pissing in the toilet, I think, and that's structured.
Yeah.
And beyond that, the belief that you need to go do a piss in the toilet and not on your sofa, for example, that's a belief. Belief are structures. So those are some of the challenges in terms of people saying, well, I don't do structure. Yes, you do. Number one, you're not aware that the structures are there. Number two, what people fight against is often structures that are imposed from the outside in. Yeah. So on my training call, we talked about discipline, and there was a whole big aha there for people when we started looking at discipline as a specific structure that you can set from that inside out. And the whole purpose of discipline, for example, is to eliminate anything or any distraction that gets in the way of your focus. So it's a focusing tool. And when you can do it from the outside in, it's the most beautiful thing ever, because you can use your motivation to create your own discipline. But discipline is a structure that when you do it well, works. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are some of the other one that comes up often is that structure is limiting. That when I have a structure, I'm limited, which is true, but that is the nature of structure. Remember when I said we pull something out of source. At source level, everything is everything and everything is nothing. At source level, it's pure energy, pure information. It means nothing and it means everything. And then you pull that out. So by its very nature, you have to begin to create boundaries so that this person you're talking to called Oge can be an individual, and Donnie can be an individual, and the other person can be an individual. So, and the reason I'm Oge, for starters, and I'm fairly sure of this, is I'm female and you're male. Do you see what I mean? And that begins to distinguish. So the limiting nature of structure is actually an advantage. It's not a disadvantage, unless you choose to see it as a disadvantage. It's a creation tool.
Yeah. As you were just sharing that, I kept kept getting visions and words were coming up. But it really is about focus. It's okay, I'm taking this ethereal thing, and now I'm adding structure to it. It becomes more focused. Okay, well, now it's less ethereal and more tangible. I'm going to give it some more focus. Boom. Okay, now I get it. And so it's a beautiful, I love how you just described it as a creation tool, because I hadn't thought about structure and discipline in that way.
Yeah, they are all creation tools. When you think of a business, so we're talking to like business people and entrepreneurs. It's one thing having an idea. Yeah, the idea, I'd like to change people's lives, for example. That's an idea. It's an idea that's already structured, but you could say it's a looser structure because it's still an idea form. It hasn't been manifest. Now, the minute you start to think about business, you have to start thinking about certain structures you're going to put in place, certain systems that you need to put in place so that that idea can flow and serve you. That's the other thing that people miss, that structures are always there to serve you, or they are meant to serve you. They're not the other way around. And what tends to happen is, I was talking to a client about this yesterday, and I said, do you know, you're the one that gives life to your business. Without you, the source, there is no life to the business. But what people tend to do, they create this structure called business. Then they give over all their power to this structure called business. Now the business begins to rule them. It's like, my business is what now makes me passionate. My business is now what makes me wealthy. Bullshit. You are putting that energy into the structure of business, and the structure of business is there to serve you so you can flow your idea from source. It's a service. It's not a master. And that's where structure becomes problematic, when it becomes the master. All structures can be taken down. Or, should I say all? No, most. Because I was thinking gravity is a structure. And it's a structure, it's a blueprint. Blueprint's a structure. It's a structure we have in place as a law in how we navigate this physical reality. But actually, we built airplanes, and airplanes kind of threw the whole gravity thing out of the window because they fly in spite of gravity. Do you see what I mean? So they're there to serve us, not the other way around.
My heart just jumped as you shared that around not becoming not having your business be the master. And part of the reason why I wanted to pursue and build my own thing is because I wanted to create this joy-based business. And when I'm moving in that direction, the structure looks very different than when I'm trying to build something out of obligation or based on someone else's thoughts. It's like, no, I'm creating this because I want it to be an extension of me and my own energy and my own thinking processes and interests. And I hope that for so many entrepreneurs and business owners and just leaders in business, whether you're working inside of an organization, because there's the experience of leading, whether it's your life or an organization or the community, is so different when it comes from this genuine, joyful place versus this obligatory place. And you just reminded me of the importance of being mindful of, all right, am I the servant or am I the master?
Yes, and you are always the master. Even when you choose to be the servant, it is a choice. And the master can choose to pretend they're a servant and even forget that they're the master. But you are it. Without you, these structures disintegrate. And we are seeing it in our world at the moment. If we can just even bring that in, because we're seeing it in the world, is as you change your intention, as you change your energy, as you change what you make important, what is important to you, those structures begin to collapse. And that is evidence of that structures cannot survive without you anyway.
Yeah.
They can't. As you change your focus, structures begin to collapse around you. It could be the structure of a relationship, it could be the structure of government, and it could be as personal as the structure of your beliefs. You change the focus, certain beliefs begin to collapse. And when those beliefs begin to collapse, your experiences, which are also structures, begin to change.
So I have two more questions. And the first question is, what's one piece of advice that you would give to entrepreneurs or leaders in business that you wish someone would have given you?
There's so many. Now which one to pick. The most important one for me right now is trust. That's the most important thing. Trust is the magic. Trust is the magic source. And if I do often give advice to my past self, my little self, my 5-year-old self, and I will say to her, whatever you do, trust yourself. You will not let yourself down. You might go down alleyways that are not pleasing, that are uncomfortable, but life is not meant to be this one big endless journey of happy light and fluff. Part of what we are experiencing is also the polar, the other side of things. So trust yourself. You will not let yourself down. You will not let yourself down. That is the one thing. So that's what I want to share with everyone, is that self-trust is so important. It is the basis, the magic. It is another kind of structure, but it's a kind of magical structure that allows more ease and more comfort and more flow. Yeah.
And last but not least, I know you are big on audacious dreams and pursuing those. What is your audacious dream, and how do people connect with you if they want to learn more about your work to build out their own audacious dream?
Oh my God, what's my audacious dream? My audacious dream right now is do you know, I hesitate. It was audacious 2 years ago. It's not audacious now. Because I can actually see it happening. I can, it's not so much of, oh, this is taking my breath away. It's more like, oh my God, what are the logistics? Okay, I need to hire a VA, and I need to hire this, and I need to do this, and I need to get a team together to build my academy. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that was an audacious dream because it took my breath away. So in answer to your question, what is an audacious dream? An audacious dream is a mission you are on, and at this point, you're sitting there and you're thinking, I don't even know if I dare even tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you see what I mean? And it keeps coming back. That audacious dream will keep hitting you, and you're like, I don't even know where to start. And it takes your breath away, and it gives you goosebumps, and it makes you frustrated, and you want to cry sometimes, but it lifts you as well. And usually an audacious dream, like when people come to me and we're talking about the audacious dream, and then they look at me and they go, so okay, how do we make this happen? I'm like, I don't know. That's why it's audacious. But what I do know is that we take the first step, and the first step is naming it, speaking it, owning it, admitting to it. That's the first step. And where do people find me? Come and find me in my Facebook group at the moment. That's where I'm playing. It's called The Contemporary Visionary with Oge Okosieme. It's on Facebook. And that's where I do a lot of my playing at the moment. That's where I am.
Good. Well, if you have a chance, check out Oge's work in her group on Facebook. She's doing some phenomenal things. She's helped me not only in my business life, but in my personal life, and really helping me think differently about how I show up. So, okay, it is always a pleasure to reconnect with you and speak with you and have a lot of laughs with you. And so thank you for today and being a guest.
Thank you. This was fun. As always, thank you. You are welcome.
Good. And I will talk to you all soon. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.